What's going on, world? It's Michael Gascon, the horse guru, and I'm here with you today with this young colt. And people have been asking me, hey, what do I do if I have a colt-back horse that likes to buck or likes to kick out or crow hop? How do I address it safely? How do I go about that in the saddle? And we're going to show you what we like to do with our horses that like to buck or like to hump up or kick out and get you off of them. What it's called is riding the eye. We're going to get that bend. We're going to control that head. Before we even start, one thing that I want to see on these horses is that they're willing to give their face from the ground. So feel free to touch that horse in the belly. I like to pop on them here because you're going to be kicking that horse to go forward. You want to make sure if you do this and you reach under here and you pop them on the belly here like that, and they jump up and drag you and they're clapping stirrups, you probably shouldn't ride until you get them soft enough not to do that. Let's go. Come on, big boy. Come on, big boy, let's go. That's it. So bucking is stopping. The vast majority of horses that are bucking, they're doing it like him to get out of work and not move. They have the brakes on and you're mashing the gas, and then they end up bucking. What I was looking for there is that I could pop on the saddle, I could throw the stirrup leather up and down, pop on and do things like that, and he wouldn't dare pull on my hand. Control the head, control the horse is what we're going for, is what we're looking for. If we can control his head, bucking happens in a straight line. They want to be straight line, they want to drop their head and put it between their legs, they want to lock it out on you. So if we have the ability with 2 fingers to pull that horse around, we are going to make it a lot easier for us to be able to ride that out and do something with the horse. Now I'm going to hop up on his back. Automatically, when I first get on and I'm sitting here, when horses like to buck or crow hop, they want to throw their head down and people want to grab straight back on them. Everything that I do with this horse is going to be to the side. So whenever I'm moving him around, all of my movements and everything is going to be off to one side or the other. So when we call it riding the eye, I want to be able to look down and see the corner of his eye. If I can't see his eyes on a horse that's a buck threat or a crow hop threat, and we're trying to fix that, then he's too straight. As long as the ball's in my court and I can keep him off center, he's really going to have a hard time dealing with me. So now that he's walking and giving me that face, I'll start bumping him with my legs and asking for the same thing. Notice how he has the freedom to go forward, but I have his face off to the side. I can feel him humped up. I can feel him wanting to put his head down. So if you've been doing first grade, you should be able to push his shoulders out a little bit. And I really don't care if he stays in a small circle. He's a big boy, so he's going to want to move out because the small circle's hard for him. But what I'm not going to let him do is I'm not going to let him take his face from me. So right there, see right there how he wants to straighten up? He knows his defense is to buck. And for him to be defensive and buck, he has to straighten out his head. So even when we move in a straight line here, watch when I go down this rail, how he's off center. Look how I won't give him his face. He feels completely free to move as long as he leaves his head to the side. The next thing, I'm not worried about the canter as long as he's moving freely, moving forward. A lot of times these horses want to buck into the canter because people will grab more and more reins or press more and more brakes as they're mashing more and more gas. If I can let this guy freely move forward and stretch out, I'll trot this guy, and trotting, long trotting especially, is harder than cantering. So he'll start offering the canter as opposed to me pushing him to the canter when he's all bunched up. Do you see how flat and free he's moving? That's what we want to see. When I first got on, his back was humped up. He was cold. He didn't want to go. Now he's really covering ground, and look how he's doing it without his head. What I mean is his head's not centered. His head's not where he's in control. even at that canter, look how we have him off center there. And we're really letting him cover ground. And we can go from a straight line to turning. So we can completely steer him like this, having him off center. And the way that we're gonna do that, we have his head. If I wanna move his butt, my head goes in between his face and his butt. But what if you wanna move to the right and his face is bent left? Then bring your hand towards his shoulder and push him outward. Watch, when the rein comes off of him, that means turn in. When the rein comes on him, that means push out to the right. So watch, I'll push his shoulders over by putting the rein on his neck. I'll move his butt by looking where I want to go. Really important to look where I want to go. Look up and straight when I want to move to the right. And look at, even in that stop, I kept him off center. So this is a guy that got a couple people off. We're not even giving him the chance. The ball will never be in his court. He'll have to earn his straightness. And if we can do that, we can make it so much easier for him to be on a loose rein, to be soft, to be easy. Your ability to walk, trot, canter, and have full control of their face being soft and easy is your ability to guide the horse under any circumstance. Remember, the two ways to get resistance out of a horse or a rebuttal out of a horse is to scare the bejesus out of them, obstacles, tarps, balls, things like that, and going fast. So letting him canter really builds up his resistance, where he has the habit of trying to buck or wanting to buck. It's kind of like in the beginning when you saw him humped up and he didn't want to go. Well, he's used to somebody holding back on him and pushing on him. A lot of folks will stand here like this, and I ask them to walk off and they'll grab reins, and I ask them to trot and they'll grab reins, and by the time that I ask them to canter, they have the horse by the tonsils. So you're pushing on him, you're kicking on him to go, but you're holding on the brake at the same time. So if we're holding the front and pushing the back, it bunches the horse up, and then you have a crow hop, you have a buck, you have the opposite of that is getting that horse off center. So he has all the freedom to move here. What he doesn't have the freedom to do is look back straight. And then from here, I can start kicking, pushing, cropping, anything I want to do until he starts to move. A lot of times in the beginning, they're so stiff in the head that it'll be a nice tight circle like this. You don't care how tight the circle is. You just care that they move. The great thing about this is it makes it real easy to push those shoulders over because of centrifugal force. If you've ever been on a merry-go-round, the faster it goes, the more it wants to fling you outward. The other thing, having that horse where he's always comfortable having his head to the inside, it's really going to help your leads. It's really going to help his attention and awareness. Watch as we pass by horses and students on the outside of the arena. This young colt would like to look outward, but since I'm not giving him his face, he gets stuck on that outside rein. So imagine a horse in a show ring. A kid runs up the bleachers. I've seen it happen 100 times. The horse wants to look over and make a mistake, but he's so respectful of this inside rein that he keeps doing his job. That's ideally what you'd be looking for. So now he's freed up. I can feel him flat. I can feel him covering the ground. He's starting to feel like a normal horse now. That's what I want to see. Even when I stop here, bump him over. I'm going to lock my inside hand here, sit back, stop with the outside hand. Even on the stops, I'm going to keep him off center. If you ride your horse that likes to crow hop, that likes to buck you off, if you ride him like that for a few days, a week, a month, very quickly that horse is not going to get the chance, and he's going to stop trying. And he's going to loosen up. The only way for him to move forward, especially in a straight line with his head to the center, is he has to disconnect his head from his body. That's what we're looking for. I don't want him to be in control of his head. If he's in control of his head, he can decide to surprise us with a buck whenever he wants to. If we're in control of his head and that's our steering wheel, all those surprises will go away. Every time I get on a horse that surprises people, We go through the respect series and we find those holes and we'll say, hey, this horse, you don't have control of his head. The rides that you were having that were good is because he wanted to have a good ride as opposed to you wanting to have a good ride. So control the head, control the horse. We call this exercise riding the eye, and it literally means that walk, trot, or canter, moving him around like this, I just want his face off center enough where I can see one eye. And you can give him the freedom to move forward and have the reins as loose. This is not an idea to hold him back. It's an idea to keep him off center. See this big old neck? He has two big muscle groups here. When we take him off center, we take half of his muscles away from him. We take half of his power away from him. When he's in a straight line and he gets a wild hair, there's nothing we can do about it because he'll grab a hold of the steering wheel. Once he learns how to be soft at any speed forward, then we can give him his face back and he won't dare grab a hold of our bridle, try to take us for a ride, try to run away with us, try to buck with us, because he won't want to get flexed and bent and turned, which is the same way that we're getting rid of a spook on a spooky horse, making them more respectful of the bridle than the thing they're scared of. In this case, a horse that likes to surprise you with a buck, we're saying, hey buddy, we're in full control of your head. If you want to be left alone, just do what we're asking and your life will be a lot easier. Well guys, that's what we do with a bucking colt. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.